Bonin Bough, it's been 1 year since I last met you.
It has been.
Right here in Cannes. Thank you so much for joining us yet again. This is truly a pleasure having you back again on Brand Equity.
It's my pleasure as well. Thank you for having me.
A lot has happened, within the last 1 year since I last spoke with you. But the one thing I want to talk to you about is, your experiment with feature and text phones, and how you're looking to, ensure that it delivers more at the point of buying. If you could give me a sense of what exactly you are aiming to do with that, and how far and wide has your experiment gone, and which emerging markets are you focusing on?
Of course. So, since we last met, I've taken on some additional responsibilities. So I'm now Chief Media and E-commerce Officer, and underneath that, we have the media function, but we also have the e-commerce business, which we believe will be one of our fastest growing P&Ls. But we also have some venture work that we're doing as well. So there's a venture group there. And I think the most important thing around the feature phone market is that it's that real connection between media and commerce. Media meets commerce. And so the work that we've been doing has been primarily with Facebook. We have a feature phone accelerator that we've run across India, Indonesia, Philippines. And it's really looking at what does the future of creativity look like in a feature phone? How do you begin to build campaigns that have the opportunity to resonate within that space? And more importantly, how do you then take that from actual awareness or connection with the consumer all the way to purchase? Whether it's click to buy and a connection to Flipkart, or whether it's in-store and some type of transition to a coupon, or how do we work with traditional trade differently? So that's where we see the world. When you look at those markets, the growth of mobility is so huge. And so how do we begin to create platforms that allow us to drive direct transaction at the point of buying?
Right. Talk to me about, the Mondelez partnership with VCs. What exactly is this partnership about?
Yep.
And what kind of progress have you seen with this partnership?
So, I've been, over the last couple of months, kind of going to all the major hubs. I was just in Hong Kong last week. And our connection with VC is really about building a VC network that helps us identify what are kind of the future opportunities for us in two areas. One, are there companies that are tied, so e-commerce is a big focus. Are there companies that are e-commerce ready or e-commerce accelerated? How do we identify those organizations? How do we begin to invest potentially in those? How do we begin to get close to those? And the other piece is really, how do I identify the technologies that are driving impulse buying? When we look at e-commerce, we know that it will be 3 to 10% of the revenue of any CPG, FMCG, or grocery company, you name it. But in that, one of the slower portions of its growth is impulse. And at the end of the day, impulse is so vital to that grocery shop experience, not only because they have the products that consumers love, but because they also drive. The reason why, there's front displays in stores and end caps is because they drive higher ring baskets. And so for our retail partners, it's vitally important that we get impulse right, not just offline, but also online.
I'm a little bit confused on why VCs would be interested in indulging you.
Well, because we're strategic. Look, money is easy.
Yeah.
Dumb money is even easier.
Sure.
Strategic money is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so what you want is somebody who understands, the consumer challenges, the category opportunity, the growth potential, and can help shape roadmaps of companies that are trying to sell into organizations just like us.
Right. I want to talk about media monetization. I know that you managed that brilliantly with Oreo.
Yep.
But, post that, have you seen any more cases of the sort, or was that just an aberration? And do you think it's a sustainable way, a sustainable concept, really, media monetization?
I think it's a must-have, more so than it's just a sustainable, but I definitely think it's sustainable. I think, here's the fact of the matter, is that consumers' options have increased exponentially.
Sure.
But our investment in media has increased incrementally at best. Maybe in some cases, for people, it's actually decreased. The biggest challenge we have is that with that fragmentation, we can no longer buy the same amount of reach that we used to, the type of reach that actually accelerates and drives the growth of our business. And so what we really need to focus on is, how do we actually make our money work harder? So in our mind, we're saying, okay, maybe there's a way for us to actually make money back from the platforms that we create and reinvest them. We have a great platform in the States called CheeseRank. and it's basically the BuzzFeed of cheese. So 4 reasons you should eat stinky cheese, 3 ways that you can partner cheese and crackers. And what we do is we go out to the marketplace and we buy very targeted eyeballs and traffic, people who are most likely Ritz buyers. It's a Ritz program. We bring them to the site. We have little Ritz crackers where you judge the articles by. It's Ritz branded, but we also sell advertising in that, and we sell that advertising on the programmatic exchange for $5.
Wow!
So to arbitrage, 2 to 5, and so we've taken a model that we know works. After 18 months, that becomes a cash positive thing. You'll see more of those experiments in models that we know work. And so I think it's a sustainable model, but I also think it's something that we have to do.
I want to talk to you about the big news, and that's really, you backing Facebook, with its growing video platform, and, your two-pronged arrangement, which is really looking at video content and, of course, mobile commerce.
Yes.
Could you give me a sense in terms of why did you, decide to back Facebook, and B, what is the kind of output you see with this deal?
So Facebook is a fabulous partner. We're in our 3rd year with them. We've grown year over year with them, not just from an investment standpoint, but from an organizational standpoint. We believe that we are on the forefront of mastering creativity within that platform, which is a totally different type of creative expression than many of our other channels. And we feel that the work that we've done there has been spectacular. So we understand specifically what Facebook adds to the marketing mix when we utilize it. So it's driving our business. But I think what's interesting about Facebook is, one, you have a platform that was inherently built to share.
Sure.
So the potential for video on Facebook is enormous. We'll probably see Facebook eclipse many of the other video providers over the next year. So we're really excited about that. But the difference is it brings different types of parameters. So the way Facebook video operates is that the first, you have to catch the consumer in the first 3 seconds. It also doesn't have sound. And so what does a world look like when you have to create creative with no sound in the beginning?
Sure.
With the 3 seconds are the most important. So we're now focused with Facebook on figuring out what's the best in class creative for the platform that they've created. On top of that, we're also looking at how do we drive that expression of interest in the equity of our brand all the way to a purchase. So we've done a lot of work with them on the connection of buy now button with a company called Channelside. Let's see if Facebook can be our single largest digital selling channel by the end of 2016. So the goals are ambitious, but we believe that the partnership is such that we can actually accomplish those.
So when you say Facebook will be your largest digital vehicle, where does Google stand then in the scheme of things?
We see an opportunity for Facebook to be one of our largest growing digital selling channels. But our partnership with Google is special, and we've been on that journey with them for 3 years. And what they provide to us is an entire ecosystem and the access to everything from the mobile platform to understanding mail to understanding searches all the way to video.
Sure.
And so as you saw them launch their buy now button, having said that, they launched it a week after we launched ours, so we beat Google to the table. But anyway, we think there's a unique opportunity for us to look at new models. The thing that I hate the most is that we sit into this industry and we talk about Google versus Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's Google versus Facebook. You know what? Both of them are winning. Both of them are providing value to consumers in a way that we've never seen before. So what it really is how are we challenging the rest of our mix? These guys are growing. And still, we're talking about only 20% of the average investment. And so how do we begin to break out of our mindset by pretending that these are the only 2 horses in the race and begin to step back and look at the overall mix? And that's what we've done as an organization. And as a result of thinking about the overall mix, we've seen dramatic upside and return to both top and bottom line of the business.
And when you talk about Twitter as a social platform, how would you look at that platform?
I think Twitter's exciting. I think, there's new stuff coming out from Twitter. And what I like about Twitter is that it provides an opportunity for us to be in a real-time conversation. It also provides an opportunity for us to interact with other forms of media in real time. So our work with IPL and cricket in India, we've seen dramatic increase in our effectiveness of that sponsorship, of that partnership and that integration as we put Twitter underneath it, as we interact in real time with what's happening in culture around the game of cricket.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to your buy button. So Mondelez was one of the first movers in terms of launching its buy button. But I want to know, just give me a sense of how many people would actually buy products from the Mondelez basket via e-commerce. Is that a behavior pattern you see evolving in the future?
So, you know, I think the real answer, first of all, we're driving to our retail partners. So we want to continue to drive traffic to our retail partners and help drive, you know, their e-com business. But I would respond back, if one person buys, isn't that enough? I mean, why would we lose the opportunity to allow a consumer to show the greatest, portion of behavior and response to equity, which is not only do I love the messaging, but I also love the product and I want to buy it now. Now, having said that, the results that we see are a significant portion of those that see the ad with the buy now button are actually clicking either to add to cart or to buy it now. But stepping back, what's even more fundamental is the question that you asked, which is, what does the future of this look like? Consumers' behaviors are changing. When you look at Alibaba, the single largest retailer in the world that owns no stores, the majority of purchases for Alibaba come from tier 4 and tier 5 cities, more so than tier 1 through 3. 80% of those purchases come on a mobile phone. And when you think about the development of emerging markets, the places where we're going to source the fastest amount of our growth, they're going to look like a China or an Alibaba type market, where you have an entire population that doesn't have access to the largest portfolio or to the majority of portfolio products. And now all of a sudden, by the press of a button, they can have that product delivered to them. That's going to happen. That's a consumer behavior that's done. And then when you looked at the developed markets, if you're a millennial mom and you live in an urban setting, why would you ever go out to buy the staples and the basics? You're going to have it delivered to you. And so all of a sudden we have to figure out, how do we become a part of that automatic replenishment behavior? How do we become a part of that staple behavior? And so we have to learn how to present the products to a consumer in an entirely new way on an entirely new interface. And whether that is having it shipped to you, which I think is the most conception of e-commerce, but in reality the majority of purchases are order now, pick up in store. Order now, have delivered to me immediately. And so that consumer behavior is happening. All we care about is making sure that we're providing the solutions for consumers to enjoy the products that they love.
Wow. Okay. You know, I want to talk to you about, a subject that you're highly passionate about, which is really talent.
Yes.
And
yes.
how,
it's important.
And how, it seems like all the best talent is going to startups and not really coming to, large brands such as yourself and many others. A, give me the extent of the problem today,
okay.
And B, what is the attempt to actually fix it?
We have a single focus, when it comes to talent, which is to continue to be the best place to work.
Sure.
Continue to equip talent for leadership of this generation. But we also know that the world has changed. And so to answer your question about the extent, there was a day when top graduates left and said, we want to work for Unilever, P&G, Kraft, you name it. Now it's Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat here on the Palais with the big yellow sign. The biggest piece of advertising here is Snapchat, which is a company that didn't exist 3-4 years ago.
Sure.
And so we have to realize that talent are looking for new experiences, new opportunities. Now, we hear in the news all the time, unicorns, the next unicorns, find me the billion-dollar businesses. We actually believe that the next unicorns will be born from the adaptation of traditional businesses and the digitization of those businesses, because we operate at scale at a breadth that nobody else operates. We operate with brands that have a place in people's hearts in a way that no other brands do. And so we think that the next unicorns are going to be built from that marriage of digital and traditional. Now, having said that, how do we provide a workplace that encourages talent to want to come work for us? Well, given that we think that that's the new shift, we think that if talent comes and works for us, they actually have a chance not just to work at Facebook or at Google, but to work with Facebook, with Google, to change the world at scale that they've never seen. And so what we continue to do is invest in capabilities, invest in programs like Chapa Futures or Mobile Futures, or the types of programs and opportunities that you won't get anywhere else. And so, but I think the other single biggest dynamic is to realize that the lifespan of talent inside of an organization has changed. There used to be a time when your goal was to keep somebody there for 24 years, 50, that's gone.
Sure.
If you want to come to work for us for 24 months or 24 years, our single focus is to make sure that you're more valuable, that we're investing in you, that there's a true mutual benefit, that you're more marketable when you leave this organization than when you came into it. And if we can be a magnet for talent, then we win.
I want to talk about Chapa Futures,
yes.
Which you've launched.
I love Chapa Futures.
A, if you can explain to me what Chapa Futures is, and B, the need for it.
I wish I launched it. Laura Henderson launched it. We launched the first of that platform, which was Mobile Futures, and has since progressed.
Sure.
And we've launched it in 5 markets around the world. I think the importance of a platform, so just to give you the context of what it is, so it's really the identification of startups that can deliver on a specific value proposition. So when we started this 3 years ago, it was about transforming our marketing into being the #1 mobile marketer in the world. And so we launched Mobile Futures. We identified startups in key category areas that we wanted to go after. We asked them to submit. We had 300 submissions, is the US one. We had 300 submissions. We whittled that down to 22. They come and present. We choose 9 of them, 9 brand teams, launch pilots into the marketplace in 90 days. So first of all, I think operation our size, launching pilots in 90 days across 9 different brands is significant. The most important part of it, though, is that we ask our people to go and work for the companies for up to a week, for a week. And what that does is it changes the mindset and the culture. It allows them to see how new types of organizations operate. And it's interesting because every single one of them, when they came back, they said the same exact thing to me. They said, Bonin, should we work for a startup? I said, no, you should definitely not do that, because if you do, Bonin will get fired. And I like my job. And so we need to focus. We really need to focus here. And I said, but more importantly, think about if you took what you experienced there and you applied it to big brands, big resources, the type of change and impact that you can have. And every single one of those alumni are forever changed. Not only is their thinking different, but they also built a network. So they have, the ability to text people like the CEO of Waze, or people like Brian Wong, the CEO of Keep. And so that's a transformational network building opportunity and skill building opportunity. But for us, it also allowed us to operationalize innovation. And so we talk about those folks as entrepreneurs, and we believe that continuing to hunt for the entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs inside of our organization is highly valuable and highly important. And how do we operationalize that? And so we learned how to do it in 1 market, and we've rolled it out around the world. And now Chapa Futures is actually the 2nd class in the US after we've rolled it out in 4 markets. And so Chapa Futures is addressing a specific need again. We know shopper behavior has changed. We know that they have a device in store, or there are other opportunities like beacons and so on and so forth that can target shoppers in store. How do we learn, and how do we become a leader in the understanding of using those technologies and rolling those out against our brand? So that's Chapa Futures, the 2nd version of this.
So with all the technology work that you've actually done, this is essentially for the mature, advanced markets. Am I correct?
No. So, we did this in Australia. I guess you can say it's advanced. We did this in Brazil. As you mentioned earlier, we're looking at markets like India. We have our feature phone accelerator across SEA in India. It's not for I actually think developed markets are slow markets, to be perfectly honest with you. I think the fact that I can walk into many markets inside of Africa, or a few markets inside of inside of Asia, and I can actually buy product with my phone, and there's very few markets in developed world that I can actually do that, signals to me that the developed markets are actually slower. What's interesting about markets in Asia is that they're solving real human problems. Lack of access to information, lack of access to products, lack of access to vital utilities. And they're doing it at cost points and price points that actually fit into a market that doesn't have such a developed, economic base. And so they're doing it efficiently and effectively. And what I'm excited about are those solutions.
You've talked about the beacon technology,
yes,
but if you can explain to me and my viewers what exactly beacon technology is and how it works.
Of course. So, I find beacon technology fascinating, and we'll see what happens and what the adoption looks like over the coming years. But it's simple. It's a simple little device that, shoots out a Bluetooth connected signal that allows you to receive a message on your phone if you have an app that is receiving, beacon connectivity. What's interesting about it, or even if it's not Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, whatever. So what's interesting about the beacon technology for me is that not only does it allow us to send a message at the point of potential purchase, but it also allows us to then continue that engagement with the consumer. So if they see it and they interact with it, then we can also retarget and begin to build a lasting relationship. And so what we're trying to do is figure out, how do we roll them out effectively? How do we roll them out efficiently? So we've worked with a company called Roximity, which was actually part of the very first class of Mobile Futures, our mobile accelerator. And we're rolling them out on top of POS, on top of display, so that we can begin to target the consumer specifically in the cookie and cracker aisle or the gum, or while they're in front of gum, and send them a message of either savings or impulse purchase. And when we target people in store, we actually see a 22 to 32% lift in same-store purchase.
Where have you implemented this?
So this is primarily in the U.S. right now. I apologize. U.S. and Germany. We have pilots.
And you're seeing considerable increase in terms of at point of purchase areas where this technology has been installed.
Yes, we've seen increase sales volume.
Sales volume,
which is what we care about, right? But I think we tend to forget the fundamentals. So the fundamentals of this business are that it's impulse buying. 2/3 of purchases that are made in store are impulsive.
Sure.
And so if you can put a message close to the consumer at almost that zero moment of purchase, guess what? Your chance and likelihood of driving an impulse buy is that much greater.
I agree with you. But, for instance, you go to a supermarket, right, and you wonder, a lot of it is discovery, right, by your own. Like, you're just wondering and you're curious and you touch, feel, and you discover. Do you think this constant interruption by brands while I'm in that process of doing so at my own leisurely pace and time is something that will be appreciated by consumers?
The scale of engagement that we see by those that actually receive a message is humongously high. Now, I think that comes down as this becomes a more mature technology. I think both brands and consumers have to learn what they like and what they don't, and what works and what doesn't. But I don't consider it an interruption at all. I consider it part of the discovery process. So is walking down the aisle and seeing an end cap with products displayed, is that a disruption? Well, what's the difference? I mean, you're spending the majority of your time in that store on a phone anyway. And so why is that not part of the discovery process? And I think that consumers appreciate that. And again, I think it's early days, and we're learning what is the right relationship and what's the right balance. But I think it's part of the entire discovery process. And I say that because the percentages of people who interact when receiving a message is huge. It's huge.
Right. I want to talk about, agencies, the agency structure and how reviews are happening, and, your agencies are also up for review.
Yep.
Do you think putting so much pressure on agencies because you're going through a review, and it's a rather large business, is good for the industry at large, or you think it's making them even more insecure than they already are?
I think clients have failed agencies. And I think we failed agencies in two fundamental ways. One, we haven't figured out remuneration models that actually allow them to thrive. And two, we haven't figured out ways to help them increase their ability to gain the talent that's going to drive the future of our business.
But why should you do that? It's not your job.
No, it's our ecosystem. This is vitally our job. That's where I differ, is that I think our most important role is to help support our partners in growing the talent that's necessary to run our business. I firmly believe that our single, and I've said this, I think our single biggest goal over the next few years is to continue to encourage top talent to come and work for us and to come and work for our partners. And that's it. Now, I think the review structure, I think part of it is just timing. It just happened that a bunch of us were trying to get on a consistent cycle of review. I also believe that reviews are vitally important in understanding what is the next future services that an agency can offer to you. And I actually think that agencies have done a phenomenal job keeping up with the change, and I can speak primarily for media agencies. Look, so when you have media agencies buying technology, when you have them building,
yeah, fair enough. Media agencies.
Well, when you have agencies building trading desk ecosystems that are some of the best technology in the world. Now, having said that, they have to figure out a model which has more transparency, and I've been pretty open about that. But these guys are highly investing in what the future of media looks like. I would argue that clients are maybe not moving as fast as the agency wants them to. For us, the review process is really about having a consistent approach to how we run and operate our business, which is reviewing our partners over a set period of time. They know when it's coming. We know when it's coming.
So what are you saying? That it's a formality?
I'm not saying that it's a formality. I'm saying that it's a necessary part of the relationship.
Sure.
But I want to send a single message that it has nothing to do, it's not about questioning the quality of our agencies as much as it's about understanding where they see the future going and if we align with that future in those regions.
On that note, Bonin, this has once again been a fantastic interview. I think back home in India, this is going to be some serious food for thought when they hear you talk about emerging consumer behavior in the future and how Mondelez is getting ready to deal with that.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure, and we welcome further conversation from your viewers, and I'm just excited every year to have the chance to sit with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bonin.
Thank you.